Acid washed over the fractured wreckage as the rain continued to fall on Earth. Of what was once Paris rushing through lifeless skies and broken towers. Lieutenant Commander Hart Graves stood silently with his arms clasped behind his back from the remnants of the Louvre. His black combat coat was heavy and burned, and it stuck to him like the sun as he stared into the emptiness that was once Europe. The final vestige of human decency was the Council ship that was still circling Asia. A voice crackled in his ear, but there was no apology, no retraction, and no compensation. Graves didn't respond since he was aware that the Galaxy Council wouldn't accept their apology. 10 years ago, they were categorized as peace promise technology, but they never did. Like idiots, medication, and access to the larger cosmic fold. When the Council opened their gates, orbiters and envoys arrived grinning as well. Several teeth and trembling hands that they failed to comprehend in just 5 years Earth's governments were. By the 6th year, human cities were taxed into nothing more than puppet states. Famine to support Council activities elsewhere, but the last nail, the last blow, 6 months ago, a non-violent demonstration in Nairobi that was primarily composed of people asking. One Council enforcer spacecraft issued a single warning for reduced planetary tariffs. Fired that alert vaporized a whole square, causing over 200,000 to vanish in an instant. The minute Graves turned, the Council referred to it as unfortunate that they had not received any penalty. In the past, he served as Earth's representative to the military branch of the Council, and some of the. He observed the internal decay and tried to convince higher caste commanders that it wasn't as profound as it seemed, but Nairobi destroyed all delusions and vanished that evening. Pretended to be dead, burned off his ID, and took out the tracker that was lodged in his cranium using a rusted sword, and 6 months after going underground, he wasn't only alive, he was in charge of the resistance, and the silence was broken once more by a gruff voice. We received confirmation that the fusion core's attack on their Asia base was successful. The graves of 30,000 of them remained unmoved, and the civilians. No, we pulled them 2 hours earlier, exactly as you had intended, he responded slowly. His face was exhausted as he turned away from the charred skyline, and his right eye was replaced. After a council, part of his jaw was rebuilt with a glowing red implant. He appeared to be dead when the drone attempted to kill him with a plasma round a month ago, but he remained steadfast. The voice added, "Transmission intercepted too," and Hart grinned sardonically. "They're calling it an act of war. That's why they're deploying fleets in high orbit across 3 continents." A symbol passed down beneath. Graves lifted a hand and clenched his fist. Channels immediately meant that the matches would burn everything down. He continued, "No more talking, no more waiting, we're taking back Earth and their ships. Make them terrified of touching this rock ever again." The voice suddenly sounded anxious. "Are you certain that this might be extinction?" Hartgraves moved forward in the direction of the Louvre's ruins conceal a war room elevator, so let's go extinct on. As he descended, flickering lights bounced off our feet, free from chains and at their mercy. Old flags hung atop rusting walls, and men and women in stolen council armor snapped to attention across concrete corridors. Dark, frayed, and emblazoned with a single symbol, a human fist clenched and breaking a. As he passed with the council insignia cut in half, a young soldier gazed up at him and asked, "Sir, what would happen if they deployed the lasers in orbit?" Graves continued to walk, "So we set fire to their orbiting towers to dust, but how he merely stopped momentarily, just as we've completed everything, child," and the doors to the underground command were frenzied and empty. When the facility opened, dozens of screens displayed the activity of the Council fleet on the planet. Humanity was awakening as the crust changed, not as a victim or a partner, but long underestimated Tombs, a monster, approached the middle table and put his hands flat and pushed each unit, causing the remnants to scramble. "Colonies hear us inform Mars that it's time," and he looked for the Council to get in touch with us. Tell them, Earth says no, with eyes flaming. The heavy boots of deploying squads reverberated through the chamber displays, buzzing with activity as the command center rumbled. Communications from council stations and orbiting drones were intercepted by static-laced chatter throughout the underground headquarters throbbed with unadulterated eagerness that the fight had already started. General Mason Dredd stomped in a graveyard over the operations table. His voice was low, and he was a grizzled veteran with a robotic limb and a perpetual frown. Rough, always sounding like it was rubbing up against gravel. Are you certain? When this goes public, we've crossed the line and there's no going back, Hart hissed. Didn't even look up, they went too far when they created a crater in Nairobi with this question mark. Dredd nodded slowly as we caught up, and he had witnessed death in. Following the tax riots in New Madrid, he buried his wife in every form. Son was taken off the planet for re-education, he simply needed commands, not persuasion. According to Dredd, there are still Martian colonies standing by while the fusion bombs are being prepared on Saturn's rings. There are graves near the council relay, and in an hour the relay will be dark. Cut them off from their own fucking network, and they won't arrive in time if they triangulate the launch origin. The room techs experienced a kind of quiet that only occurs before a storm hits. High-orbit scans of the sky revealed council ships encircling the world, along with enforcers, gunships, and spire cruisers. Dangling over cities like executioners yet continuing to act as though there was calm most. The public was unaware that the media had been taken over years prior. Using wording accepted by the council, rationing meant stabilizing famine. Disappearances were caused by troops, occupation compliance, and enforcement. Graves was counting down the hours until he could transform the oneness he had grown up believing in. Alarms sounded, high-speed descent detected, as it plunged into ash. Yelled. Graves' gaze looked at one of the technicians who said, Council dropships 305 coming down over New Berlin southeast sector. Filtered, which strike group is closest? Theta strike group under. Alvarez tells them to hold the ground stall as they have no aerial backup and only light weaponry. Another tech turned as a second alarm blasted through the chamber, briefly darkening the room as failsafes kicked in. Pale, they're attacking civilian areas rather than the opposition. Graves immediately patched me using unfiltered global wideband. Dredd increased. An eyebrow that will reveal our Graves gazed at him with interest. Old satellite channels were hacked and force-fed, and the text nodded and flipped switches. Into council networks, which were first filled with static before focusing. Graves leaned forward to talk, not as a soldier or diplomat but as a. This is Lieutenant Commander Hartgraves, a man who is tired of an obedience-based environment. Speaking for the people and the damned, not your puppet regimes or the council's pets, he allowed that. Take a seat for a bit. We have witnessed your kindness and have followed your instructions. Our young, our blood, our skies, and you attacked our cities in the name of progress. They claimed